We will cover the topic witness and relevant provisions thereto. Term witness is not defined in Indian Evidence Act, but it is considered that witnesses are eye and ear of the court. In Swan Singh versus Punjab, court said that case is built on admissible evidence and for that witnesses are significant. If we go to section 3, talks about evidence, then in order to prove the matter, either documentary evidence or oral evidence are there. So oral evidence will be given by witnesses. So if we look at the definition of 118 Indian Evidence Act, it says all person shall be competent to testify unless court consider that they are prevented from understanding the question put to them and from giving rational answer to such questions due to tender age, old age, disease, body or mind, bodily disease or disease related to mind, or similar reasons. So as per this definition, anyone can be a witness. So test for being a witness, what is the test? Test is understanding the question and giving rational answer. That's all. This is the test. And if court thinks that the concerned witness is unable to pass this threshold due to any of the reason, it is inclusive, these reasons are inclusive, due to any of such reason, then court will not allow that person to be a witness. However, there may be a situation where he is understanding the question and he is capable of giving rational answer, but still his testimony may not be accepted because reliability is different, admissibility is different. Or the witness may be prevented, maybe the communication is privileged, witness is able to understand and giving rational answer, but because it's a privileged communication, so he cannot be compelled. 118 talks about all persons shall be competent. It says competency is the rule and incompetency due to may be prevented by the court or privileged communication, he is barred or whatever the reason may be, is the exception. So competency is the rule and incompetency is the exception. Unless court has to consider whether the person can be as a witness or cannot be. So here section 3 becomes relevant. Section 3 says evidence, all statement which court permit or require to be made before it by witnesses in relation to matter of fact under inquiry. So all statement which court permits or require to be made before it. So section 3 is relevant. So it is court that will decide, and again oath, if it is on oath then it will be considered as evidence. Section 313 CRPC, it talks about power to examine the accused. At the commencement of trial or when framing of charges is happening, in every inquiry or trial at this stage, court may ask accused that what were the circumstances because of which he is in the capacity of accused now. So accused is allowed to personally explain the circumstances appearing in advance against him, appearing in evidence against him. So he will be asked that what is your view, why are you here, what happened. In that scenario, accused will narrate the fact to the court. Now what is of importance here is no oath shall be administered. So unless it is not on oath, it will not be considered as witness. Clause 3 says accused shall not render himself liable to punishment by refusing to answer such question. So he is not rendering himself liable to punishment by refusing to answer or by giving false answer to them. So purpose here is that if it is not on oath, then it will not be considered as evidence. However, court is asking him, so he is not in the capacity of witness now. 161 CRPC, again word witness, it says examination of witness by police. So word witness is used here, but that does not mean these persons are witness by virtue of section 3 Evidence Act, or it shall not be considered that this witness or this examination is being happening by virtue of court or in court. No, here police is asking question because they are acquainted with the fact. So if we talk about all persons shall be competent to testify. So testify. If they give false evidence testifying falsely, then it is punishable under IPC, Indian Penal Code 193 read with 191 IPC. Then stages of examination, examination in chief, cross-examination, re-examination, which we have covered. Sterling witness. What are sterling witness? Sterling witness are those who are truthful, consistent, and their testimony is acceptable without corroboration. These are the witnesses whose credit cannot be shaken because they are speaking truth. So they are on their narration only. What they have said, they remain on that. They do not divert, they do not turn hostile, and their testimony is full of confidence and which seems to be fit with the either defense or prosecution, whatever side the witness is appearing, truthful. So it was said in Rai Sandhi versus NCT, Delhi. Now falsus in falsus in omnibus means false in one thing, false in everything. So this doctrine does not apply to Indian Evidence Act. In Poonam Chandriya versus AP, the party pleaded that said doctrine, this doctrine should be considered, but court said that this doctrine has no applicability in Indian law. Part of testimony may be false and part may be true, leading to either acquittal or conviction. So it is very much possible that at one point of time witness is speaking false and at one point of time is speaking truth. So you cannot just accept it as whole or reject it as whole. If the truthful part is there, it will be accepted and false part will be rejected. As per section 311 CRPC, court may summon any person required for matter in hand to appear as witness. So court has this power to summon any person to appear as witness, and then he will be testifying. And then 315 CRPC says accused person to be a competent witness. Accused person is also a witness. Under section 315, the evidence is happening on oath. Then it talks about all person. All person means section 119 is of importance here. It talks about dumb witness and focuses on witnesses unable to speak, and says they can give evidence by writing, gesture or sign. In Rajasthan versus Darshan Singh, court said both deaf and dumb person witnesses are covered under 119. We are using word person and witness synonym, but here the sense is that it is related to witness only. So court said both deaf and dumb persons are covered under 119. Then 134 Evidence Act, it talks about no particular number of witnesses are required to prove a fact. One witness, if truthful, if sterling, then his testimony will be accepted. And there may be three witnesses, all of them are talking wrong, testifying wrong, or their information or their evidence is of no use to the court. Then child witness. So we can study child witness as we have done all persons shall be competent. So there is no bar as to age. The only test is this, and then if it's a privileged communication or some other bar is there, that will work. So child witness, we can study it from the point of view of oath and safeguard. From point of view of oath, as per section 4 Indian Oath Act, it says if court thinks that witness is unable to understand the oath and affirmation, court in its discretion may dispense with oath, but evidence being admissible. So oath here is discretionary. If court think that the child is unable to understand the oath and affirmation, its gravity, then court may dispense with the oath, with the requirement of oath. It's a discretionary power. Then prevention of children against sexual offences. This act, section 33, provides safeguard. It says that when a child is there in the proceeding, appearing as a witness, then child-friendly atmosphere shall be there. Regular breaks shall be there between examination, and dignity of child shall be ensured. Among others, these are the important points. Then parties and witness. What are parties and witness? Usually witnesses appear for one side, known as partisan. There may be neutral witnesses like expert or bystander who has not interest in any of the party. Then interested witnesses, one who is interested in the decision of court due to any reason. He may be relative of the victim or accused, or he is interested in the subject matter. He has some enmity with the accused person. He wants the accused person to get convicted for that purpose only. Any reason may be there. Then relative witness, those who are related to the victim or accused. Now, in Rajasthan versus Kalki 1981, court said that relative and interested witness are same, but this view was considered narrow and not accepted by court in Raju, also known as Balachandran and others versus TN, Tamil Nadu, AIR 2013. Here it is Andhra Pradesh, AIR 2008. Because relative witness may also be interested and an interested person may also be relative. So that's why court was done away with the bifurcation. Then hostile witness. Hostile witness, witnesses are called by the party in their support, but if such witness turns against the party calling him in their support, he is hostile witness. Said party then impeach the credibility of the hostile witness. Section 154, which we have covered also. So here the credibility of hostile witness depends. You cannot rule out that because a witness is hostile, his testimony is completely out of the box. Then witnesses under veil, niqab. So those who are under veil, niqab, parda nashi, or due to some custom they have to be in veil. What about them? So CRPC, Criminal Procedure Code, by virtue of section 284, and CPC by virtue of section 132, they have allowed that such person can be dispensed with the attendance, and a commission may be issued, and that commission will record the evidence and it will be submitted to court. But they are not barred. They will give evidence. They are eligible to give evidence with this requirement, because there is custom and thing is that then commission will be there, and that commission will work maintaining their custom. Now one important point appears here, that is plight of witness. In Swart Singh versus State of Punjab, where court said that requirement of witness is significant, it is indispensable. In the same case, court observed that witnesses are significant. They are harassed to or by putting them in fear. Witnesses are won over by adjournments and by other reasons they are being harassed. Witness will come, it will take whole day, and then other party will take the adjournment. So by such activities and other activities they harass the witness, or even if it is a genuine adjournment, then still witness is being harassed. So witnesses are abducted, maimed, unchecked, and prolonged examinations are there. Their character is also attacked in order to impeach their credibility. Appropriate diet money is forever thing. It should be there, by provisions it is there, but it is not happening in practicality. They are getting nothing, so they have to spend their money. Now in this case, more than 50 witnesses did not appear, and it allowed court to make this observation, which is practically correct. Now provision related to protection of the witness. Section 41 CRPC says it could be interpreted that way, because it says accused may be arrested if there is suspicion or information that he may tinker with the evidences or witnesses. He may try to evade, or he may try to delete the evidences, threaten the witnesses. Then 309 CRPC talks about speedy disposal of case. It talks about day-to-day hearing. It requires day-to-day hearing, but in fact in reality it is not happening, all of us know. Then 195A Indian Penal Code, it says any person threatening to give false evidence will be punishable. So if any party, they threatened a witness to give false evidence, so that person will be punished. Witness's name may not be kept anonymous. Their name will come. If you want that name of the witness or his identity is not revealed, then it is very difficult, because section 273 CRPC says all evidence are to be taken in presence of accused. Even in rape cases, his testimony prosecution cannot restrict the testimony or the evidence of the victim. That has to be given at the time, at this stage of charges, but it will be. So at one point of time the identity will be revealed. So if this is the case of some extreme offences, then in normal offences we can think that up to what level protection may be there. Then section 327 clause 1 says, place of judicial inquiry deemed to be an open court. So it is very difficult to maintain their secrecy and identity. Then witness prosecution scheme is there. In this scheme there are categories of witness as per the threat perception. Category A covers threat to life of witness and family. Category B covers threat to safety, reputation and property of witness or family. Then category C, moderate threat of harassment or intimidation. Then types of protective measures. What are the protective measures suggested by witness prosecution scheme? Witness accused do not come face to face, but if it's open court and evidences are to be taken in presence of accused, how you can maintain the secrecy? It's a point. Then mail and telephone monitoring. Then unlisted phone number for witnesses. Mobile company may be asked to give unlisted phone number for witnesses so that they cannot be traced. Installation of security device, CCTV or any other measures. However, in reality, the protection of witnesses and their notion is not preserved up to the extent. But if witness has received the summon, it's his duty. He has to come and appear before the court. And in order to avoid the unpleasant circumstances, witnesses do not testify, or they testify in such a way that their testimony is of no use. They may be win over. That's all for the topic.